Okay, hi guys, it's Jason here, and I've put off making a video about this for a while because, well, it's kind of a crazy story, and, well, it's quite controversial as well. A lot of people have their opinion, and they have their opinion for some for good reasons, some for bad reasons, some for just random reasons that are more or less unexplainable. Well, the issue I'm talking about is the Luis Suarez biting incident that he did in the game against Chelsea on Branislav Ivanovic. Well, for starters, hands down 100%, he did it, it's his fault, and he should be banned. Now, I want to cover why I'm making this video. I think the treatment for Luis Suarez is being handled much differently than if it was a different player. If this player was not Luis Suarez, I do not think it would have been a 10-match ban. And just to explain it to you, 10 matches, I think the only player banned for more than that in Premier League history is Joey Barton for his big bust up at the end of last season against Manchester City, where, in my opinion, Joey Barton committed 2 to 3 red card offenses at least. He got 12 matches. Suarez committed 1 red card offense, the bite on the arm, like so, and he is given 2 matches less than that. This is also 2 matches more than what Suarez was given for the racism charge, even though it was actually just Patrice Evra's word versus Luis Suarez's word. Even the FA's report said there was not any real substantial evidence. They said that Evra's story was more consistent than Suarez's, and that's what convinced them to give him the 8-match ban, to where John Terry, for saying effing black C word, caught on camera, it was confirmed that he said only got 4 matches. So that's another example of where I feel they're treating Luis Suarez as a Uruguayan differently than, say, if an Englishman had done it. I mean, I'm sorry, but the words that were said in that, John Terry said something worse, and John Terry should have been banned for much more. And another thought. There's been many violent conduct incidences in the Premier League history. I mean, recent one I can think of this season, Marwan Fellaini with a blatant intentional headbutt. He was given a 4-match ban, and I'm of the opinion that it's not the type of violent conduct that makes it worse. It's how much violent conduct you do. And I'm sorry, biting is not worse than headbutting. It's not worse than punching. It's not worse than kicking someone. It is just one other way to commit violent conduct. So Marwan Fellaini's headbutt is a 4-match ban, but Suarez's bite is a 10-match ban. So what the FA is saying is Suarez's offense was 2.5 times worse than Fellaini's offense. And I completely do not understand this. Now, I will say this. If the standard was 10 matches for violent conduct, and I would be okay with that. I think violent conduct is unacceptable in professional football, and it should be punished severely. I think 4 matches for Fellaini was a little bit giving him light. I would have given him 5. But I would have also given Suarez 5. So, but I cannot conceive how Suarez's bite is 10 matches, where Fellaini's headbutt is 4 matches. Not to mention there have been several different instances of terrible tackles this year. There's been a stamp. Actually, Luis Suarez got stamped by Robert Huth, and he received a far less ban as well. And then you've got famous incidents, is like Eric Cantona trying to karate kick a fan. Now, this is an incident I do consider worse. When you commit violent conduct against an innocent fan, that is worse than against someone in a game. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. I'm pretty sure that Suarez was getting tired of getting his shirt tugged and kicked by Branislav Ivanovic. And I'm not saying Branislav Ivanovic is a dirty player. He's a professional defender, and frankly, that's what professional defenders do. If the striker on the other team's not ticked off at him, that defender's not doing their job, in my opinion. And Suarez, frankly, he's probably one of the dirtier players with little nicky fouls like that throughout the game himself. And in my opinion, that's part of football. Every player does it. The best players probably all do it, and certain players do it a little bit more than others. But an innocent fan does not deserve any violent conduct against them for no matter what they do. As a professional player, you should just ignore them and go on with the game. When he karate kicked him in the stands, and he doesn't receive near the ban Suarez receives. Another incident. Roy Keane admitting to attempting to break someone's leg. Oh, I think a broken leg is far worse than a bite, especially a bite that didn't even break skin, and he admitted that was his intentions. And that injury it didn't actually break his leg, but the injury did result in eventually ending the player's career. He played on about a season or so after that, I believe, but he did say that he was never quite the same after that challenge from Roy Keane. And Roy Keane was banned, I think it was actually 8 matches. He actually got banned like a small amount, then they added, I think what it was the 3 matches, and they added 3 or 4 on after he admitted to attempting to break his leg. But to my next point, and this is the one that I really do not understand. This is not the only biting case in the Premier League history. There was another biting case, and it was by an English player, Jermaine Defoe, Tottenham versus West Ham. There was a challenge, I believe, Javier Mascherano versus Jermaine Defoe. Mascherano, I believe, fouled Defoe. While they're on the ground, Defoe sits up, goes over, and bites Mascherano on the shoulder. Now, if you don't believe me, there's video and there's pictures on the internet. Just Google it and you will find it. You'll find a picture of Defoe's mouth clamped onto his shoulder, just like that. And in no way, shape, or form is that worse than what Suarez did. I think it's exactly the same. And guess what Jermaine Defoe's punishment was? A yellow card. Yeah, a yellow card. I think that I can't even comprehend how he only gets a yellow for that. That must be a red card. It must be a 5-match ban, in my opinion. But let's bring me back. I do 100% believe there are double standards. The calls against Luis Suarez after this incident, some of them appropriate, most of them outrageous and over-exaggerated. I mean, 100% do I think he should be banned, and I think it should be for a minimum of 5 matches. If he would have got any less, I would have think, well, he got lucky there. But he gets more. I mean, if it would have been 6, it would have been 7. Okay. 8's pushing it. 9 is starting to be like, what in the world? 10? Are you serious? You're saying this is one of the worst offenses ever in the history of the Premier League. I'm sorry, it is not. There's been just as many bad and just as many worse. And I'm not the only person of this opinion. Roberto Mancini, Manchester City's manager, said the same thing. He said that he didn't find this any worse than many X-rated tackles, as he calls them. And frankly, I agree with him. Some of the very reckless, dangerous tackles are worse because, let's face it, to do similar damage with a bite as you can do with some of these crazy tackles is extremely difficult. You would have to gnaw on someone's tendon or something, which Frankly, human teeth aren't really designed for tearing flesh like a dog or cat or any other animal that is a carnivore. But I mean, it can do. I'm not saying it can't do damage, but in comparison to going two-footed studs up on someone's knee, the damage is minimal in comparison. Also, he pointed out another good example. And guys, don't try to say biting is not a human attack. Don't try to say he's like an animal, because if you say that, you know nothing about combat. Biting is just one other thing that humans can do. It's another possibility. Just like some people think it's wrong to kick someone in the groin in a fight. Well, I mean, in a real fight scenario, if you have a chance, do it. But this is not the only incident of this happened. It's happened in multiple leagues before. Mancini brought up the incident of it happening in Italy, where the player who bit the player was given a 3-match ban. I think that's too easy. It should have been 5. And the other player, I believe, retaliated by punching him or kicking him or something. Mancini really didn't go into depth on what he did, and he was given a 1-match ban, which I think that's actually fair. I think retaliation should not be considered as worse, because frankly, if somebody is attacking me, I'm going to hit them. If someone is trying to hurt me, I'm going to protect myself in the best way I know how, and that's by hurting them. All right, so let's go on to some of the exaggerations over what he did. So I heard many fans saying, kick him out of Liverpool, that he should be sold or fired for this. Like, I'm sorry, do you think that Manchester United was going to sell Eric Cantona for his karate kick? No, never even crossed their minds. Nobody's going to sell a player for something like this. No one. If every team sold a player for equal violent conduct offenses, every team would be selling a player every couple years just for that reason. It's just not a feasible practice, and it doesn't make sense why you would do it to Suarez when they've never done it for any other player. Another instance, it was recommended by some people to remove him from the PFA Player of the Year list. Well, I don't see why, because I'm sure there's been multiple players that had at least one or even more red card offenses during a season, and there's probably at least one or two with violent conduct offenses that either remained on the list or even won the award. I haven't looked that up for a fact, so don't quote me, but I guarantee you someone was nominated. Not sure if anyone's won it with a violent conduct offense also in that season, but I know someone has been nominated. And they were probably nominated even after they committed it in times. Other things, people wanting them banned for an entire season. It's like, really? It's that much worse than anything other seen? I'll use one more comparison. And this is not in the Premier League, so it is governed by a different footballing body. This was in La Liga. Pepe, the defender for Real Madrid, he had the famous incident where he just went psycho. And he kicked, stamped, kneed, and punched a guy. It was ridiculous. He got 10 matches. So what the Premier League is saying is they consider one bite, just as bad as all the things that Pepe did in that game. In my opinion, Pepe's assault on that player was one of the worst I've ever seen in football. And it's not even comparable to what Suarez did, but the FA thinks it's just as bad. Now, I understand that most people will just say, oh, Suarez deserves it, he's a dirty player, all this. Well, most people will say he's a dirty player. Really, they've never played football before. They don't understand the level of competitiveness, especially at that high a level. There's no player on earth that doesn't do some little dirty tricks. If you get to that level, you're doing some dirty trick, whether it's pulling a jersey, little fouls, kicking someone, just little stuff, nudging them, poking them, small punches even. I mean, when I was playing professional indoor soccer, I used to get punched in the ribs on purpose regularly. A lot of defenders throw a knee into your hip when you receive the ball. And that's just part of the game. You just learn to deal with little things like that. I mean, this is a contact sport, and you should expect it to be that way. And just because you don't like a player doesn't mean he should be suspended for more. I mean, Suarez isn't the only player that's treated this way. It's just, I think, him being arguably the best player in the Premier League, being a higher profile player, when he is mistreated slightly or treated differently, it is more noticed by the public. So, in conclusion, before I go into my conclusion, I want to say I don't like seeing violence in sports. I think it's nonsense. I don't think it has a place in it. But a small part of me wants there to be another biting incident. Non-related to Luis Suarez, of course. But I want to see another biting incident to see if the FA decides they're going to treat it the same way. Because if they give a ban less than 10 matches, it's more proof of a blatant bias in treating someone else differently. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it's because he's Suarez, because he's Uruguayan, or some other reason. But if it is, and they don't give him a 10-match ban, it's obvious bias. But a small part of me wants to see it. I don't want to see anyone get bit or anything like that, but a small part of me wants to see if they'll be consistent with their punishment. All right, so in conclusion, Suarez bit Ivanovic. It was wrong. He never, ever should have done it. Never even should have considered doing it. It was stupid, and he should be banned. But it should have been half the ban that he was given. Only 5 matches. 10 matches is almost... It's more than a fourth of the season. That's crazy. All right, so that was my spiel on the Luis Suarez biting incident. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.